some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah, hope I get away with it. Oh, da doo-dah day.
Hi there, folks. I'm Dan Hollifield. Welcome to Last Man Standing, or as it has been quite a lot lately, Only Man Attending. Most everybody is worn out and full of aches and pains from the miserable weather we've been having around here lately, so not a big deal. I will try and keep you entertained for a short period of time and then go ahead and shuffle off to Buffalo. Let's see, do I have my camera set right? It seems like my forehead is way out of the screen. There we go. It was all right on the other channel, so who knows? Who cares? My wife is doing well with her broken collarbone. She's in the lazy boy in the living room with her sling on and probably a cat or two in her lap and the dog curled up behind her chair. So I'm just sitting around here bemoaning the fact that I did not get any sunshine today when I thought that I might. I mean, I got a couple of hours, but that was while I was drinking my coffee. By the time I finished my coffee, it was all clouded up and everything, and I didn't want to tote an expensive board out into the workspace and start trying to cut the thing up into the right size pieces to build the cabinet I want to build to go above the charcoal grill. Thank you. It's been about 3 weeks now, and she's doing better. I just told her, look, you're gonna have to wear that sling for at least another 3 weeks, and if you keep trying to overdo it, it's going to be longer. So start taking better care. She's a stubborn lady, but then she'd have to be to stay married to me for 20 years. So anyway, the cabinet I want to build goes in the barbecue pergola up part of it's going to be inside the tin roof, and the rest of it's going to hang down. And then I've got an old stovetop light and fan that I'm going to mount to the bottom of this shelf or cabinet. I'm having to build it all myself. I'm having to design it all myself, which is no problem because I grew up on a farm, and building and building things is no problem. Designing things is no problem. I went to college and was in the architecture program, well, interior design program, which was the closest I could get to architecture at the time. Wanted to design houses for people, but before that, I wanted to be a cover artist for science fiction books and fantasy books. Well, with the next one of mine that comes out, I may get my wish because I did the cover art. Of course, it is computer art, which people are going to complain about, but at least it's not AI because I created it before AI was ever thought of. But it's nice. It gives a hint of what the story is going to be about and things like that. But then when I finish writing the fantasy book, I want to do an oil painting of what I want for the cover, and hopefully the publisher will go for that. Um, Otherwise, I'm just going to have a real nice oil painting all on its own. But I figure since he won't have to pay anybody for the cover art, maybe he'll agree. Let's see. Disposable Man has been out for months, 2 months now, about 2 months, I think. And got a few nice reviews. Don't know anything about the sales yet because I get paid quarterly on that, but we shall see. It's not like I'm depending on the money to make a living. I'm retired. I've got my pension. So I'm just trying to get all these stories out of my head while I still can. The clock is ticking. I'm already aware. I've got hundreds of stories and almost as many books on the go that I'm writing. Hope they're in war. There are things that I will not write that I did think of. There were two Jack the Ripper fictional novels that I wanted to write years and years ago. And then I finally decided, no, I don't want that fella in my head for me long enough for me to write a book. But, I have enough trouble with anger management as it is. Oh, man. I'll be lucky if I can allow myself to go before 3073. I got a well, not right there. I used to have a timeline up there, but it's been converted to a spreadsheet now. Had a timeline, went 3/4 of the way around the office in the mobile home that I lived in, and it was basically 11,000 years of recorded history, and every couple of hundred there was a story idea. And I've gotten about a dozen, maybe 18 already written up, and I keep going. But trouble is, I keep thinking of new ones too. Um, Hello, Daniel. Nice to see you again too. Um, I have been blessed or cursed. You take it however you perceive it with a very overactive imagination and very almost like a cinematographer, or everything. I'm a very visual writer. Um, when I'm in the flow, everything turns into like a scene from a movie, and linking all those up into a coherent order. Sometimes stuff gets shuffled around. I mean, yeah, but if it works out better that way than it does the other way, why not just go back and change the foreshadowing a little bit? Um, there was a steampunk story that I wrote. I got to almost the end of it, and then I realized one of all the other characters' favorite characters had to die. So I went back and dropped all kinds of foreshadowing in and made him even more important than he was before. That way, when the reader gets to that point, it has more of an impact. I had that thing finished. I wrote it for an anthology with an 8,000 word limit. Made it dead on, nailed it, dead on 8,000 words, submitted it, got accepted. And in the pre publication phase, the publisher got in touch with me and said, I'm sorry, we got a last minute submission by Tanith Lee. So we're going to have to drop about 4 other people's stories to make room for her story. I'm going 8,000 word limit. Then I thought, no, Tanith Lee's name on the book cover will sell a whole lot more copies than Unknown like me. So, wise business decision. He offered to let me keep any royalty money he had already paid out. And I go, no, the contract says I don't get paid until you publish the book. And now, without having a story in it, I'm not going to get paid. So, thank you. Um, just turn my rights back over to me and I will do something else with it. So I started working on it, making it longer. And apparently I came up with a sequel too. If you know anything about steampunk, it's not only adventure, but most of the time there's a romance element involved too. Makes it more palatable to people who are less fond of gadgets and machinery. Of course, designing said gadgets to machinery are fun. I wind up almost every story I write, I wind up designing something, and I feel like Jules Verne sometimes because I'll see scientific work referencing something, 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 and I'll put different pieces together, and there you go. There's something new, but it's using existing science. Retrofuturism. Yep, exactly. Bit like visiting Tomorrowland at Disney World. Yeah, that's the way my mind goes. And being a hands-on kind of guy, growing up on a farm, learning so much about mechanics and just basically um, junkyard wars kind of stuff, building things out of scrap. My dad could have taught the A team an awful lot, but Yeah, you learn how to put bits and pieces of things together and make something else out of it, and um, it can either be functional and not pretty, or functional and pretty, or just pretty. It doesn't really matter as long as that's what you were aiming for. So, yeah, I've got all kinds of things I have to do in the pergola. Good night. Oh, I won't. The dog will bite me. Um, she's got a German Shepherd almost as big as a deer, and the German Shepherd gets jealous. So, my wife and I cannot stand too close together in the same room without the dog having a fit. Um, I think it's cute. My wife thinks it's annoying. Uh, the dog thinks it wins. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, oh, let me go ahead and just play an ad for um, Disposable Man here. This is the most recent one. It's a prequel to the second book I ever had published, Abducted. So this is basically starts off as a fighter pilot in the Korean War and winds up he gets recruited by all kinds of undercover agencies to shuttle people around, or during the Cold War work on the ground with other spies. And he keeps wanting to retire, but things keep getting in the way. In the early days of the Korean War, an underage boy ran away from his family's farm in West Virginia to join the Army. He quickly transferred to the Air Corps and became a fighter pilot. Somehow, he became useful to several alphabet agencies, so he was recruited to help them during the Cold War. Eventually, he got tired of being a spy and tried to retire. Fate had other ideas. These are some of the early adventures of Captain Tom Darby of the U.S. Army Air Corps. From before that fateful night, he rode his motorcycle around a curve too fast on a back road in rural Georgia and accidentally began a new life entirely. And that leads up to Abducted, which has been out for several years now. Um, Basically, the last sentence of Disposable Man is the first sentence of Abducted, so they run straight into each other, just seamlessly blending from one to the other. Um, I thought Abducted was going to be a one-off story. I thought Tom Darby was going to be a one-off character, and then he just started popping up in all kinds of stories in the background and um, off-screen, kind of on the radio or something. It's been a lot of fun working with him. Now I've got a better idea of his life story, so there'll be a couple of other things in there. I've got 3, maybe 4 more books left to write in his story, but I will probably just kind of pare it down to the most essential information, because just because I know everything about him doesn't mean everybody else needs to. Why bore the readers? I had another steampunk novel, supposed to be this massive 4-book thing going through different eras of history. And the 4th book was the easiest to write, so I went ahead and wrote that. Then I got started on the 3rd book and realized The first two don't really need to be written. Those are just backstories. That's just information that I need to write, but the readers don't need and will probably be bored to death by. So I decided to chop off the first two books entirely. Now I got to rewrite the main manuscript where I had all four of them in one place. But that's easy enough to do. That's just editing. Now, I've got so much to do here this weekend. I've got to do 2 months worth of Aphelion because my 36-year-old grandson wound up in the hospital just before um, the April issue of Aphelion was due, and I was so worried about him, I couldn't I couldn't concentrate on doing any work on the magazine. And about 2 weeks later, my 13-year-old grandson wound up in the emergency room with cardiac problems, but those are caused by uh, bad neonatal health care. So 13-year-old is fine. 36-year-old, the prognosis is still not looking good. I'm hoping he will make a full recovery, but then again, I may have a funeral I've got to go to. Um, the future's out of my hands. Well, that was a bit of a downer, folks. Thank you. But yeah, I'm just kind of monologuing here, and whatever comes to my mind, if I don't think I'll get arrested for it, I'll say it, which kind of leaves the door open pretty wide. Uh, like I said, active imagination and all. Um, got to figure out what to get my mom for Mother's Day. Uh, she's the type says, "Oh, I don't want anything. I just want all the family to get together and we just have a dinner or something." And I'm sitting there going, "Yeah, card and flowers is not good enough anymore, Mom. Got to get you something." Of course, you've already got like three of everything that exists on the face of the earth, so shopping for Mama is really difficult. Um, Mom likes to go antiquing, so she'll buy beautiful stuff and bring it home and have it in the house for a little while. Then it'll be moved out into a metal shed. Oh, you know, safe from the elements, safe from rodents and things. But and that way she can go out and buy more antiques. Um, she is in her mid to late 80s right now, so I don't know how much longer I'm going to be blessed to have my mom with me. And that's going to be rough. I mean, we already lost Dad to Alzheimer's several years ago. Mom and Dad were married for just short of 50 years. Never been divorced. Uh, raised three kids. And evidently we're all very happy. I wouldn't say well adjusted because I'm a science fiction writer. That gives me a certain degree of mental health issues automatically. But yeah, we're all to varying degrees artists. Um, my little brother decided to pick up a paintbrush for the first time in his life about 5 years ago. Turns out he is fantastic. Uh, my sister and her daughter are both artists. Um, and mom's been teaching, well, me and my sister and my niece pretty much all our lives. She's won a few state fair prizes and things like that, and she taught art classes in her home, um, exploring different things. Glass painting, which is totally backwards to painting on a canvas, because you have to do the foreground first instead of the background when you're painting on glass. And then she was doing China painting, and had to buy a kiln to bake the colors on the china. Um, she and my sister ran an art supply store. Um, can't remember what year that was, but I was already working at the factory, so that doesn't narrow it down much. But yeah, they were doing real well till the landlord decided to raise the rent, and Mom and Sharon emptied the store out, took everything and put it all in the basement of the family home. And that storefront stood empty for almost 10 years before it was ever rented again. So let's count that as a miscalculation on the landlord's part. Uh, Instead of collecting rent on it at a reasonable rate for that 10 years, she had to pay property tax on an empty storefront. So there. All right, I'm going to run the ad for Abducted, and then probably the one for Aphelion. And then I may just log off here because there's only so long that I can monologue at any given moment. So, yeah, this is the sequel to Disposable Man. And, oh, if anybody tries to claim copyright on the music, you won't be able to because I wrote it and I own the copyright. Yeah, as I said, I I write all the music for the intro and outro of this show, all my ads. I've got 8 albums and an audio story that I narrated over on my Bandcamp website. Look me up. Um, except for one collaboration I did with Stephanie Osborne, it's all pretty much about 50 cents a track or $5 and a half an album, or if it's an album with a lot of tracks on it, it's going to be a little bit higher because, you know, that it's free to listen to all the stuff, and it is well, they will kind of nag you after the third or fourth piece of music you just listen to, but you don't have to buy anything. If you find something you like, um, pick it out, drop me 50 cents through Bandcamp, and I'll be happy. Um, Matter of fact, if you don't buy it, but you do enjoy it, I'll still be happy. Till you wind up with listening to um, the mm, first 5 albums or so, maybe 6, that show up on other people's live streams, and I'm very happy about that. Um, it gets the word out. They always drop my name and go here, buy something. So, oh, thank you, Foxy. Thank you very much. I'm just about to end the monologue. Hello, Asia. Um, since I'm pretty much uh, the only man standing tonight, I figured I'd just not bore everybody trying to uh, keep talking for 2 hours. I just pull it about 30 minutes, and yeah, I've done 30 minutes now. So sorry. Just had to convince people to show up Saturday night, but that's a little bit later in the night. We have another Last Man Standing and Stupid O'Clock on Saturday nights, as well as Thursday nights. And that pretty much covers everything. But thank you very much for being here. And I shall see some of you tomorrow night in the green room and others Saturday night on Stupid O'Clock at 10, and Last Man Standing starting at 11:30. And if anybody stays up that late, maybe I won't have to just monologue for half an hour and shut the show down. Maybe we can go an entire 2 hours. That would be fun. Always did have fun. But thank you very much. Good night.
Transmission overload.
System will shut down. shut down. System will shut down. System will shut down.